It is raining. ASMR. I don't know. Maybe. Rain doesn't give me ASMR, but I can imagine that for some people it does. I want to talk about learning to trust again. When I say trust, I mean trust the universe. Trauma really sucks the trust out of us. It gets us to believe that whatever it is that traumatized us earlier on was our fault, right? And when you actually go through the process of healing and seeing everything clearly, you can then see that it was never your fault to begin with. And that's really just the reality of everything. It's really like, you know, I used to have very serious trust issues. I did. And the more I heal, the more those trust issues heal and mend. Whatever happened to a person in childhood was not their fault. And that needs to be understood because there's a lot of confusion there for a lot of people. It's not a child's fault that they're traumatized. People are imperfect and people have their own shit and they bring their own shit into their relationships with their children. Sometimes they don't, if they're good enough with boundaries. But the fact of the matter is that whatever trust issues a person develops as a result of trauma, if that stuff isn't resolved, the person is going to have a very challenging time with life because they're going to be taking the shit that happened to them earlier on in their life and they're going to be projecting it out onto the universe. And they're going to hold and carry these beliefs with them of, I'm not worthy because this happened to me earlier on. So I can't trust that I'll ever have anything good in life. You know, it doesn't matter what the trauma is. What matters is the marring and the scathing and the disfiguring that takes place and the belief systems that follow that, teaching a person that they are unworthy of love, they are unworthy of respect. Maybe they, I don't know, they have beliefs that are not only unhealthy but also create a dynamic in their life that attract more of the same thing from childhood, right? That's really what it is that's happening, you know? Like, you get traumatized in childhood, and then until you heal those patterns, you just continue to attract more of the same. I think that that's so fascinating. And the other fascinating thing, too, is that the comfort and familiarity that come with the patterns, that keeps people locked inside of a prison. It's seductive. It is. The comfort and the familiarity of the childhood familiar patterns. Look at that word, familiar. And I heard this, too, so I'm copying it from somewhere. Familiar. Family, right? The family of origin, that structure is so seductive. It's wild to me. You know, I look at it this way. When is it apparently the easiest and the most efficient to learn a language? In childhood. Why? Because you're like a sponge. You're soaking up everything. I think that the reason why it's so challenging to break out of familiar old patterns from childhood is because it was so easy to soak up everything when you were in childhood. And it's like you soaked everything up. You were this sponge just soaking everything up. And then, you know, just like over time, like really think about it. Like decades of time in terms of conditioning. That's a lot of time, right? You're soaking up all of these belief systems and these ideas and just over and over and over again, not not just every 10 years, not just every year, not just every few months, not just every month, not just every week, not just every few days, not just every day, not just every. I'm taking it this far. Not just every, you know, not just every day, but and not just like truly, every moment is like an I am moment, right? An identity level moment. And this corresponds with the video that I made yesterday and the day before, and even it may have been also the day before that too. This whole aspect of trust, it has to do with identity level individually, because until you see it for what it is and realizing that it was never your fault what happened to you in childhood. However, it is your responsibility to do something about it. You can trust, you just learned to not trust people who were unsafe and unpredictable and all of that stuff and unstable, right? And so, like, I'm very fascinated by this whole identity I am thing, because it's literally, whether it's consciously, which doesn't happen as often as unconsciously or subconsciously, but whether it's consciously, unconsciously, or subconsciously, it happens. And subconsciously and unconsciously, it happens far more than consciously. This I am pronouncement, right? This I am announcement of I am this. This is who I am. This is the energy that I am, right? That is being reinforced and hardwired on a regular basis more often when we are not aware of it than when we are. So you can imagine the layers of conditioning after moments and moments, days and days, weeks and weeks, months and months, years and years, and then all of a sudden it turns into decades, right? So of course it can be challenging for a person to trust if the reinforced identity and belief is that, well, I couldn't trust the parental figures, so therefore, maybe it was, I don't know, abandonment of any sort, right? I couldn't trust the parental figures, so therefore I'm going to take that and project that out onto the world. I can't trust the world. I can't trust the universe, right? And that's just how that works. And I'm so fascinated by that. I'm so fascinated that it's like we generalize, right? It's like all right, well, the parental figures didn't show up, right? I can't trust the universe, right? And when you look at that for what it is and realize that it's just you projecting what you learned from childhood onto the universe, but then also see that it was never your problem. It didn't have anything to do with you. People are imperfect. The more I heal, and I used to really not like this because I had a belief that I had to be perfect. But the more I heal, the more I see how absurdly imperfect people are. And I used to believe that people were perfect, right? And I now know that they're not. So it's just like, as I heal, I'm learning to trust myself and the universe. And there are still times in my life when, like I look at dynamics in my relationships and I'm like, it's still there. What is it that I'm doing that is causing it to still be there, right? I'm really like looking at myself and the dynamics and everything, and you know, it's all language. It's all ones and zeros. It's all communication, right? And that's what matters, that I see it for what it is, because it's trying to communicate to me what it is that I need to know. That's what this is all about. And so when I see it for that and I really understand what's going on there, I can go deeper into myself and really pick apart the layers and understand what's going on. But I'm learning to trust the universe again. I struggled to before because I projected the parental idea onto the universe, which makes sense, right? In childhood, our parents are our gods, right? So the universe, God, source, all of that stuff, we project that idea onto the universe, and we're like, it's a mirror to you. I can't trust you. I can't. I can't. I wish I could, but I can't. Well, it's like, no, you can, though. You just have to, you know, separate. Separate that from that. Because that is not that. That was an idea or a resemblance of that earlier on in childhood. But now it's a matter of healing, bringing all of myself back to myself rather than tuning into other people, right? Setting boundaries with myself, so therefore there's no confusion as to what the universe or source or God is to bring to me, right? And again, me seeing myself as a vessel, right? This creative energy flows through me. Um, not, I'm not considering myself God or a God at all. Um, I'm just learning to trust again, and it's a magical experience.